Hello, everybody. All right, so we're going to be finishing up the fifth grade Go Math textbook in this lesson. We're on lesson 11.11, find volume of composed figures. And our essential question is, how can you find the volume of rectangular prisms that are combined? So here we notice that we have two different prisms. So how do we find the volume of those composite figures? We're on page 507 of the fifth grade Go Math textbook. So they unlock the problem. The shape at the right is a composite figure. It is made up of two rectangular prisms that are combined. How can you find the volume of the figure? Well, one way we can do that is to use addition. And so we would break apart the solid figure into two rectangular prisms. And so you see, this was the original shape. And so what they did here is they're telling you, let's make this bottom section one rectangular prism. And let's make the top part into another rectangular prism. So basically, they're dividing there, right? And they're keeping this bottom rectangle the same. All right. So knowing that, that means we have to find the dimensions of both of the rectangles. Well, the blue or the bottom one, that's easy. We know that it has a length of 10, a width of 4, and a height of 2. So it's going to be easy to find the volume of the bottom rectangular prism. The green one, or the top rectangular prism, is a little more challenging, but there's enough information in the composite figures to help us. So if we look here at the width of 4, this also has to be 4, right? It's the same width as the rectangular prism. It doesn't go over, it's not shorter, so we know that that's 4 inches as well. All right, and we know the length of this rectangular prism is 2. They gave that to us. Okay, so the only thing we have problems finding is the height. Well, they're telling us that putting the two different rectangular prisms on top of each other has a height of 6. But the top rectangular prism is not 6 by itself. So we have to subtract the height of this blue part. Well, the height is 2 inches, right? So we can simply do 6 take away 2. So 6 take away 2 is 4 inches. Okay, so we know the height's 4 inches, the width is 4 inches, and the length is 2. All right, so now we have the dimensions of both the rectangles. We simply have to find the volume of each one. We would find the volume by multiplying length times width times height. So we would have 2 times 4 times 4. Well, 2 times 4 is 8, and 8 times 4 is 32. So the green rectangular prism has a volume of 32 cubic inches. The blue, or the bottom rectangular prism, has a length of 10, a width of 4, and a height of 2. Well, 4 times 2 is 8, and 8 times 10 is 80. So now we have both of our rectangular prisms' volumes. All I have to do is add them together. So 32 inches cubed plus 80 inches cubed. Okay, so 80 plus 32 would be 112 cubic inches. Okay, simple as that. All right, what is another way you could divide the composite figure into two rectangular prisms? Well, the only other way really is to make it a long rectangular prism and this one a little shorter. So if that was the case, then what's the length of this one? It's still 2. Okay, we're looking at this one. Okay, the length is still 2. The width is still 4. The height's going to be different though. Now the height is 6 because we have the whole thing. And how about the remaining part? Well, the remaining part this time is just this section right here. So the length is no longer 10 because we have to subtract this part. So we're going to take 10 minus 2, and we have a length of 8 inches now in this one. The width would stay the same at 4, and the height would stay the same as 2. So what is another way we could divide the composite figure? Well, we could have a 2 times 4 times 6 plus 8 times 4 times 2. Okay. So in that case, we'd have rectangular prism volume of 48 inches cubed. The green rectangular prism would be 48 inches cubed, and the blue would be 64 inches cubed. But if I add those up, I'm still going to get 112. Okay. So it just depends on how you see it and how you want to divide the two rectangular prisms. Okay, simple as that. So let's look at page 508. So another option we have is to use subtraction. And so when we use subtraction, we can subtract the volumes of prisms formed in empty spaces from the greatest possible volume to find the volume of a composite figure. In other words, we can imagine that this is a complete full rectangular prism. A complete full rectangular prism of 10 by 4 by 6. So the greatest possible volume of this rectangular prism, if it was totally filled, you see the outline of the missing space? We're assuming, we're imagining it being totally full, not missing. And the width would be 4. And the height, not 2. We want to know what would it be if it was complete. It would be 6 inches tall, right? So 6 times 4 is 24, and 24 times 10 is 240. So that would be the greatest volume. But of course, it's not complete, right? So if it was complete, it would be 240 cubic inches. What is the empty space? What's the volume of the empty space? Well, they're telling us that the empty space has a length of 8, which makes sense because 8 plus 2 would be 10. Okay, and they said down here the length is 10. So if we take 10, take away 2, the missing space is 8 inches long. Okay, the width would be 4. Okay, the missing space has the same width as the part that is there. And the height of the missing part, so the height of the part that's there is 2, and we know that the whole thing is 6. So 6 take away 2 would give me a height of the missing space of 4. So what's the volume of the missing section? Well, 8 times 4 is 32, and 32 times 4 is 128. Okay, so just the dashed empty space rectangular prism is 128 cubic inches. We said that if it was completely full, it would be 240 cubic inches if the whole prism was blue and without the dashed area. Okay, so if the rectangular prism was unbroken, we'd have a volume of 240. But it's got some parts missing. The empty space in the dashed rectangular prism, that missing space is 128 cubic inches. So if we subtract that, that will tell us the volume of the blue rectangular prisms. And we find we still get 112 cubic inches. Okay. So those are two different ways we can find volume. You have to choose which one makes most sense to you, unless the directions specifically tell you to use the subtraction method. Okay. So some people are going to like breaking it into two separate rectangular prisms and adding, and some will like the challenge of subtracting the empty space. So entirely up to you, unless our math directions tell us otherwise. All right, so try this. Find the volume of a composite figure made by putting together three rectangular prisms. Well, still, it doesn't really matter which way we go. Okay, so we have this rectangular prism, right? So this one, we have the one on the left-hand side. We have this one, and we have the one in the middle. All right, so what is the volume of the one on the left? Well, what's the length? Well, the length here, they're telling me it's 3. All right. The width isn't here. It's not here, but it is listed here on the bottom, 5. So if this is 5, this top part is 5. If this is 5, this has to be 5. If this is 5, this width is 5. So the width is 5. And what's the height of this first rectangle? It's 4. Okay. So 3 times 5 times 4. What is that? Well, 5 times 4 is 20. And 3 20s is 60. All right. So this shape on the left is 30 cubic feet. That's 30, 60 cubic feet. All right. How about the one in the middle? Well, the length of the one in the middle, this whole shape, this whole line is 12, not just this little piece. Okay. So we have to figure out what this one would be. Well, actually, we don't have to, because if we look up here, they tell me the length. The length is 5. The width, we already know the width. The width is 5 as well. Okay. Because remember, we said if this is 5, this has to be 5. And the height is the whole thing, right? And they give me the height. They're saying from the bottom of this one to the top of the middle is 8 feet. All right, well, 5 times 8 is 40. And 40 times 5 is 200. So 200 cubic feet. All right, now we have the one on the right. So how long is this shape here? Well, they told me that this one was 5 and this one is 3. So that's a total of 8. So what's 12 minus 8? That's going to tell me what this one is. And 12 minus 8 is 4. So the length of this last one is just 4 feet. Let's see if that makes sense. 4 plus 5 is 9. 9 plus 3 is 12. So yes, if we combine all 3 rectangles, we get a length of 12. Just the one on the right, though, is a length of 4. The width stayed the same. All 3 rectangles have the same width. And the height of this one, well, it's not 8 feet. And it's not 4 feet, because this one's taller than this one. So we look here, and it tells us the height is 2. Okay, well, that's fairly simple, right? 5 times 2 is 10, and 10 times 4 is 40. So our last rectangle is 40 feet cubed. So all we have to do now is add them up. 60 plus 200 plus 40. Well, I would combine 60 and 40, because that would be 100. And 100 plus 200 is 300. Okay. All right, let's do some more practicing on page 509, number 1. So find the volume of the composite figure. Doesn't tell you to use subtraction or addition method, so choose a method that you feel comfortable using. I'm going to go ahead and use the addition method. So I need to find the length of this piece right here, and that tells me it's right up there. So 2. So length times width times height, right? That's the volume formula. Okay, I know it's got a length of 2. What's the width? What is this distance here? Well, it's the same as this one, right? Which is the same as this bottom part. So 4 inches is the width. And what's the height of this? Well, the whole thing, counting both layers, is 5 inches. But this part is not 5 inches. So I have to figure out what's the height of this bottom part. Where do I get that from? I get that from right here, right? The height of this rectangular prism is 2. So 5 minus 2 gives me a height of 3 inches. All right, what's the volume of the second one? Well, the second one has a length of 8. We want the whole thing, so 8 inches. The width was 4. And the height is 2. Okay, so find the volume of each one. So 2 times 4 is 8, and 8 times 3 is 24 inches cubed. Plus 4 times 2 is 8, and 8 times 8 is 64. So 64 plus 24, well, 60 and 20 is 80, and 4 and 4 is 8. So 88 inches cubed. Okay, number 2. All right, again, it doesn't tell us to use subtraction or addition, but I think I'm just going to use addition again. It's easy to divide this into a large rectangle in the back and this little piece right here. All right, let's do the little one first. I'm going to write the volume formula first. What's the length? Well, I know the length is 3 centimeters. The width, they're telling me that this piece here is 2. So it's the same as the bottom. So the width is 2 centimeters. What's the height? Well, the height's the same of both of them, right? They're equal levels. And that height is right there, so 1 centimeter. Now, what's the volume of the larger rectangular prism? Well, that's the whole thing, and that's 7 centimeters. The width is 6 centimeters. And the height is still 1 centimeter. All right, so the volume of the first one is 3 times 2 times 1, which is 6 centimeters cubed, plus the larger rectangular prism. And that was 7 times 6, 42, times 1. So 42 centimeters cubed. And so our volume is 48 centimeters cubed for that composite figure. Right, number 3, find the volume of the composite figure. Again, it doesn't tell me how or which method to use. I'm just going to break this into 2 rectangular prisms like that. Okay, I have this one here, and I have one here. Doesn't matter which one I do first. The length of this one is 6 feet. The width of the whole thing here, this large one, is 3. Okay, and that's fine because that's the one we're working on. So 3 feet. And the height is 2. All right, so that's fine for that one. So that volume is 3 times 2 is 6. 6 times 6 is 36 feet cubed. All right, how about the other one? Length times width times height. The length of this one is 4. The width is 2. And the height is the same as the other rectangular prism, so 2. All right, well, 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times 4 is 16, so 16 cubic feet. So 36 cubic feet plus 16 cubic feet gives me a volume of 52 cubic feet. 30 plus 10 is 40. 6 plus 6 is 12. 40 plus 12 is 52. Okay. Number 4. I think I'm going to use 3 rectangular prisms to solve this problem. So I'm going to go this way and this way. So I'm going to have this small rectangle on the bottom, a little larger rectangle here, and then the top. Okay. So the length of the top one is 10 length times width times height. The length is 10, the width is 3, and its height, the whole thing is 6. This bottom piece, or this piece here, is 4. So 6 take away 4 is 2. So this piece here would be 2. So we have a volume of 60 cubic centimeters for number 4 for the top part. The bottom part, length times width times height. We have a length of 2 centimeters. We have a width of 3. And we have a height of 3. I'm sorry, let me make sure I got this right. The length is 2. The width is 3 right there. And the height is right here, so 3. All right, so we have 3 times 3 times 2. Well, 3 times 2 is 6, and 6 times 3 is 18. So 18 cubic centimeters. And now we have the last one on this side. So again, the length of this one is 2 centimeters. The width is going this way, which is the same as this one, which is the same as this, so 3. And the height, we just want this little piece here, so we want 4. Okay, we don't want the whole thing. We just want the bottom part. All right, so that's going to be 2 times 3 times 4. Well, 6 times 4 is 24. All right, now so we're going to add 60 plus 18 plus 24. And these are all cubic centimeters. So 60 and 18 is 78 plus 24. 102 cubic centimeters. All right, number 5. Mr. Williams' class built this platform for a school event. They also built a model of the platform in which 1 foot was represented by 2 inches. What is the volume of the platform? What is the volume of the model? All right, so let's figure out the volume of the model. So let's just do that, right? That seems to be the quickest and easiest way. It doesn't matter how I break them up. I could have done it into 3, but this time seems like it makes sense to just do this large rectangle on the bottom. And so I have 9 times 4 times 2. So that would give me a volume of 9 times 8, 72 cubic feet. And the top one has a length of 3, a width of 4, and a height of 2. So the volume of that one, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 3 is 24. So 72 plus 24 equals 96 cubic feet. All right, so they built a model, though, using 1 foot. For every 1 foot, it was represented by 2 inches. So where we have 9 inches, we use a piece of scratch paper. So this is what we originally had. We have 9 times 4 times 2, and we have 3 times 4 times 2. Okay. All we need to change these feet into inches. Okay. For every foot, there was 2 inches. So 9 times 2 will be 18 inches. 4 times 2 would be 8 inches. For every 2 feet, there will be 2 inches, so 4 inches. So 18 times 8 times 4. And the other one would be 3 times 2, 6. 4 times 2, 8. And 2 times 2 will be 4. Okay, so 8 times 4 is 32. So 32 times 18. All right, so we have 576 cubic inches for the 1. And 6 times 8 times 4. Well, 8 times 6 is 48. So 48 times 4. 192 cubic inches. So we have to add 576 and 192. And that will give us 768 cubic inches. All right. Someone might be asking, is there a different way we could have done that? Yeah, basically, we could have taken the 96 cubic feet, and since it's cubic feet, there's 3 dimensions, right? So if we take the 96 and multiply by 8, because what they're saying is take every foot and make each dimension 2 inches. Okay, so this was our total volume, and we need to increase the volume from 1 foot to 2 inches, or convert 1 foot to 2 inches. But that's cubic feet into cubic inches. So if we multiply by 8, we get 768. Okay, so we could have multiplied by a factor of 8. All right, number 6. Patty added the values of the expressions 2 times 3 times 11 and 2 times 3 times 10 to find the volume of the composite figure. Describe her error. What is the correct volume of the composite figure? All right, so she did 2 times 3 times 11. Well, okay, so if she divided the rectangles into that, she could get 2 times 3 times 11, okay, because 8 plus 3 is 11. So this is 11 centimeters long, wide. But now what would this one be? She's saying 2 times 3 times 10. There is 3 and there is 8, but this isn't 2. This would be 7. Because if this whole thing is 10, but this little piece is 3, this has to be 7 centimeters. Okay, so she did 2 times 3 times 11, so she got 66 plus 60. So she got 126 centimeters cubed. She should have multiplied 3 times 8 times 2 and added 10 times 3 times 2. So she should have had 48 plus 60, or 108 centimeters cubed. So she should have had 2 times 3 times 8 and 2 times 3 times 10. Okay. So her first one was incorrect. Okay. So 2 times 3 times 8. So that would be breaking it this way. Okay. So that's what she was trying to do, but she made it the whole way. And then she also included this 10. So she either had to shorten the 2 times 3 times 10 to 7, or she needed to shorten it from 11 to 8, because you can't have both of these going both ways. You can't have full rectangle this way and a full rectangle that way. Okay, you have to divide it somewhere. All right, number 7. As part of a wood working project, Jordan made the figure at the right out of wooden building blocks. How much space does the figure he made take up? All right. Well, so how do you want to divide this rectangular prism? Okay, so I think I'm going to go here. Okay, so I'm going to use this rectangular prism and this rectangular prism. All right, so the volume of the tall part, what is the length? Well, the length is 4. What's the width? Okay, if this is the length, the width is this way, that's 14 inches. And that's fine to do the whole thing because I am counting this as one whole rectangular prism. And the height, well, the height of it is 8 inches. All right. How about the volume of the second one? What's the length of this one? They give it to us. They say that's 8 inches. The width, that's not there. It's not there. It's not there. But it is the same as this width, right? So all of these have to be 14 inches. And the height, they gave me that. They said it's 3. Okay. So all I have to do now is multiply and add them together. So 4 times 8 is 32. And 32 times 14. That's 8. That's 0. So that's 448 cubic inches. And on this one, 3 times 4 is 42. Sorry, not 3 times 4. 3 times 14 is 42. And 42 times 8 is 336 cubic inches. So add 448 plus 336. We'd get 784 cubic inches. Okay. Number 8. What are the dimensions of the 2 rectangular prisms you used to find the volume of the figure? I used 4 times 14 times 8 and 8 times 14 times 3. So what is another one? Well, that would mean going this way. So having a bottom and a top one. Well, in that case, that would be 12 times 12 times 14 times 3. And then the top one would have a length of 4, a width of 14, and a height of 8 take away 3. 8. This whole thing is 8, but I have to take away the bottom part, so 8 minus 3 would be 5. Okay. Number 9. If the volume is found using subtraction, what is the volume of the empty space that is subtracted? Okay, so we want to know basically what would be the empty space here. Okay, so the empty space would have a length of 8. It would have a width of 14. Okay, so it has a length of 8, a width of 14, and how tall would it be? Well, this empty space here is 5 inches. Okay, because it's only 3 inches solid here, and the rest is space. Well, if we take 8 and subtract 3, that tells us the missing space. Right, so our problem is 8 times 14 times 5. So 8 times 14, 112 times 5. So 560 cubic inches. Explain, well, that's basically just, okay, the length of the empty space is 8 inches. The width is 14 inches. And the height is 5 inches. 8 minus 3. Okay. And number 10. Explain how you can find the volume of composite figures that are made by combining rectangular prisms. We'll find the volume of individual rectangular prisms and add them together. All we've been doing is finding the volume of each rectangular prism, and then we combine them. We add them together. All right, number 8. Composite figure is shown. What is the volume of the composite figure? Well, I might as well use this bottom part and the top one. So we have 10 times 7 times 3. 10 times 7 times 3. All right. And no, I'm sorry, not 3. Not 3. This little space here is 3. I didn't notice the arrows. Okay, the arrows here are referring to this piece. The height of this rectangular prism is 5. So 10 times 7 times 5. All right. And the other rectangle would have a length of 3. It would have a width of 7. And it would have a height of 6. All right. So 35 times 10. 350 centimeters cubed. And 42 times 3 is 126. So add those together, we'll get 400 76 cubic centimeters. Okay, so that's it. We've covered them all. So hopefully you have found the videos to be helpful, and maybe I'll see you in the 6th grade. Until then, see you soon.